Okay, so we've got our character sheets up, and okay, and I was going to share the thing, right? So let me get back into Discord and got the link to the playbooks that we're using right there, hopefully.
Yep,
Yes.
handouts.
That's got the handouts and it's got the playbooks and that Vincent is currently using for this, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
So the playbooks as they exist on the Roll20 don't have like the stuff you need to do kind of. So having the playbook along, and I think because I had Kate's sheet handy, I was able to get like her stuff in there and that kind of thing. So I just need to, we probably need to sort through here and kind of, let's just, for the sake of argument, we're going to grab Guthrie's and I'm going to look at Guthrie's and we'll have to try to figure out where we had our numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
So let me just go, I'm going to look at the, I got Guthrie in there as the name. I already knew that part. First impression. Oh boy. See, I need to go back to that recording. It's annoying.
Yeah. Because I know that we had said a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I feel like, well, I can't remember now. This is why I'm sort of crossing my fingers and hoping that Amanda at least had like been scribbling down notes on a sheet of paper or something like that. Otherwise, we're going to be like, oh, I don't know.
I have some notes, but
because I don't,
because they relate to my character.
Because I don't know what stats you guys picked necessarily in terms of the stat spreads and stuff. We didn't ever really say that.
I've got all my stats picked.
That's what I meant.
I don't know.
That's what
I'm putting them into the character sheet right now.
Oh, good. All right, so we just
I don't have any of that, Joyce.
Okay, so let's just get you caught up. So if you're looking at the brain picker thing, well, let's look at first impression. Let's just go right from there. Choose one or more, add your own. And we had one where, if you remember, I was asking you to like kind of put a question mark after it. Now
the 3 words. I have those.
You have those. Perfect. Yep. And that is not actually in the main character sheet. It's in the bio and info thing, which is nice because it's easy for everybody else to see. What were those words?
I can type those in.
Okay, go ahead and do that. And you just hit edit on the brain picker.
Yeah.
Get in there. Meanwhile, what's next? All right, we had to figure out the stats. Everything for you is weird. And I don't know what you were aiming at or anything. I don't think we ever actually really said what the spreads were for you.
No, we didn't talk about that at all.
So what do you, well, we'll come back to that. That's the kind of thing we can kind of pick out as we go. By default, you have 0 psi, but your gear moves might give you blah, blah, blah. Well, we'll worry about that. You have barter according to your scavenge, which I remember everybody ended up with like a barter of 2.
Yeah, I have the barter of 2.
Right, which is easy enough. 2 brain picker gear, 1 small fancy weapon, clothing you detail, living space and intel. Gotcha. And your moves were, how many brain picker moves do you get? You get all the basic moves and you choose 2 brain picker moves.
Yeah.
So now the question becomes, what were they? Deep brain scan.
I believe that one of them was the Maelstrom Manifest.
You can unleash the world's psychic maelstrom as a destructive physical force. Environ equals your psi. Close far. Can't be brought to bear on a specific. I do remember that.
And
Which means you probably want something that gives you a +1 to your psi.
right.
Which probably indicates
The embrace the maelstrom, most likely.
Yep. Okay, let me just. I'm gonna copy paste this stuff in here because it's easier.
Okay.
It can't be brought to bear on a specific target. That's probably going to be a weird roll, and that is the Maelstrom Manifest. Lovely. And the other one is, I usually put the other moves in under, like the passive moves in under other, because they're just kind of, they don't, I don't know. It seems to make sense down there. Embrace, because they don't do anything. It's just raising your stats. Embrace the Maelstrom. So you got a set of, you got your weird, and that one. So whatever your weird ends up, well, we know your weird's going to be a 3 then, because all your weirds are 2, and that gives you +1 weird, and it also gives you a psi of 1, which is fine. So those are in. That's easy enough.
Yeah, I sat down to look at this like around 5 and went,
I don't remember.
I can't do any of this.
Go, okay, so list the other characters and we've got that. Go around again for Hex. On your turn, ask, are any of you, I remember this question, are any of you actually honestly uncomfortable hanging around with me? And nobody wrote yes. Nobody said yes.
Right.
Any of you seem dangerous or unpredictable to me? And I believe Kate said yes to that. Do any of you seem dangerous and unpredictable to me? And that was... Oh, wait. I'm doing it wrong. Hang on. Add Saren. Is it 2? Oop, did that wrong. Gotcha. And for everyone else, or if no one volunteers at all, write Hex 1. You have weird insights into everyone. So we'll add Kaiway Hex 1. And we were going to think about, so I'm not going to worry about the current like sort of way they're presented and everything, but the brain picker gear, you have a couple.
Yes.
So the question is, without worrying about what they look like just yet, deciding kind of what you're looking for. So you've got your brain frequency resonator. So I'm more looking at the effect. So you got this thing that's worn and gives you an extra +1 to your psi. Protects the wearer from all brain picker moves and gear and from many other sources of psi harm. So some sort of
protective device.
Yeah, protective device, warding charm against certain types of stuff. Psi's not super common, but can happen. And it's likely to be, fairy stuff. Yeah. Engineered nerve tick applied to someone's skin, bed blah blah blah. Now on, simple proximity to them counts as the time and opportunity to work on them. It applies to in-brain puppet strings, which
yeah, I don't have currently.
Doing, so not worth wearing. For the wearer, casually watching someone for a moment counts as taking time to study them. That applies to deep brain scan, which you also don't do.
Correct.
Potentially other moves and effects. So things like, well, just kind of reading a person and stuff, you can kind of do at a glance. Pain wave projector. 1 harm, armor piercing, area, loud. Goes off like a reusable grenade, hits everyone but you. Yikes. And then the last one's kind of interesting. An enclosed chamber that acts as a psychic antenna, giving you access to augury, which is one is on the move sheet. I mean, it kind of does what it sounds like.
Kind
When
of
you
augury implies, seeing into the future type of
when you
situation.
use your psychic antenna for augury, roll weird. On any hit, choose one. You can reach the world psychic maelstrom to someone or something or someone connected to it. You can isolate and protect a person or thing from the world psychic maelstrom. You can extract and contain a fragment of the world psychic maelstrom. It's extract and contain a fragment of the world psychic maelstrom itself. You can open a window in the world psychic maelstrom. That sounds terrifying. By default, the effects only last as long as you can maintain it, reaches only shallowly into the world psychic maelstrom as it is local to you, and bleeds instability. Okay then. On a 10, you can choose two of the following. On a 7 to 9, you can choose one of the following. It persists for a while without you actively maintaining it. It reaches deep into the world psychic maelstrom. It reaches broadly, maybe universally, throughout the world psychic maelstrom, and it's stable and contained with no bleeding. On a miss, whatever bad happens, your psychic antenna takes the brunt of it. So
Okay.
that's kind of some sort of space or place or thing that would let you really deeply access whatever it is that sort of intrinsically connects to the hunt.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but the
And
hunt as
based
opposed to
on
just all fey.
her history, that sounds about right.
So that's kind of a fun thing, and it could really, I mean, I love the idea of you like converting a confession booth into a meditation, like sort of this like
Well,
space or something, but
yeah,
it could be anything, it really could be anything, but some kind of little chamber or something.
So we're looking at 2 of those pieces of gear, correct?
Correct.
So the chamber, and then I think the resonator makes sense.
Let me look at, oh, I gotta scroll back up again. So it gives the wearer +1 side. Okay, so some kind of worn thing that gives you even more. That's cool. Yikes.
Yeah, that's probably a family heirloom.
+1. Yikes. Oh, for sure. And something that they're probably, nobody but your family is probably very happy that you have.
Not my problem.
The chamber, I'm writing it in here as the Chamber of Secrets for now, just because it amuses me.
It's not access to the bathroom, though.
Use, lets you access augury. And you had a weapon, antique handgun, handmade silenced handgun, hidden knives, ornate dagger. I remember you saying you weren't going to do scalpels.
Yeah, not scalpels. That's why. It's like, I'm not reading that, but that's because I'm not on the right part of the document.
Oh, it's the second page of it.
All right. So, I'm going to go with the hidden knives.
Okay. Hand hidden. Knives. 2 harm, hand hidden. Probably in your, I think probably in your front notes there, you can write down like sort of where you DOS down and write down stuff about that. Which chapel was it? Or church?
It is. Let me get to my other window. Oh, did my other window go away? Ah, there it is. It is the Shrine and Parish Church of the Holy Innocents.
Which you had sent me pictures of, but in general, it's just, it's one of the sort of the classic,
Yeah.
built from the, cut from the bedrock of their The stone.
Yeah,
that's
you
what
know,
happened
it's
back on the
old
island.
brownstone.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
Right from the stone of the island, though. First impression: strange, inquisitive, courteous.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. So that, I think that gets a lot of Guthrie stuff in. We've got the Maelstrom Math, you know, certainly a lot of connection to that. We still need to figure out what your, I put your weird in because we know it's a 3, regardless of whatever else happens. So you need to kind of figure out what stat spread you're going to go with. But I think
So can you explain? So I think that I'm looking at this, and the stats were choose a set, and then there's 4
kind of
things.
Yeah, kind of different spreads.
Yeah.
So aggro is what you would use to sort of confront someone, like kind of get in their face. Cool is acting under fire, being charming, or deceiving someone. Hard is just straight up. That's the stat for doing battle, like getting, like shooting, stabbing, punching, kicking.
Okay.
Aggro, you're getting in someone's face, trying to get them to, you know, stand down, whatever. But with hard, that's when shit gets real.
Okay.
And sharp is, you know, the brainiac, like just the relative cleverness, but you tend to use it for, I mean, the basic moves it's connected to is reading something, reading a person, reading a situation.
Okay. So based on that, I would go with the aggro at -2, cool +1, hard +1, sharp +1, weird +2.
Okay.
So I can input that.
Yeah, the little clicky. That's the very first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Click away.
So I have clicked away.
Nice. Kate's flashing back to her click away.
Happy memories. Happy memories.
Happy memories.
With the playbook moves and the other moves, is there a way to make those windows larger so I can read what's in?
The bottom right-hand corner of the text box.
Yeah, it expands, and so it just gets bigger. It embiggens on its own. Got it.
You just drag it out there. And actually, now that I'm looking at that, I'm doing that wrong. I'm just going to change this around a little bit. Because the other moves are meant to be like moves that aren't from your playbook kind of thing. So
okay.
I'm just going to do a little bit of modifying here.
Got it.
There. So now they're all kind of where they should be. But yeah, you just drag them open. They're a little hacky, but they work.
Yep.
I'm gonna.
It worked just fine.
Peek at Kaiway here real quick. Amanda, do you remember her first impressions? The first impression stuff that she had?
So which one, Guthrie?
No, yours.
Mine. Yeah. Hold on. Where am I? Caring. Dogged. Distractible. Intense question mark.
All right. I'm just getting them down on that front part of the character sheet so that they're in there. And I remember that I was listening to it in the car. That doesn't not make for good note-taking situations. Sanctuary. Okay, let's work down. Okay, so we got this, and we had Guthrie's kind of hanging out. That her little place where she dosses down is that church.
Is all of my stuff actually showing up for you that I've all typed in and all that? Okay.
Yeah, I can see all that. I have.
Okay.
So Sanctuary is a garden of green growing plants, healthy food and simple medicines, life support, and med lab. I get tinkering from the above. I gotta look at your thing now. I gotta go. Okay.
I've been typing. That's why all the tippity.
That's fine. Okay, so you've got Getting green growing plants, finding healthy and simple medicines, healthy food and simple medicines, life support and med lab. You also get tinkering, which is one of the moves that's kind of down a bit. Oh, that's what I should do is I should probably copy augury on the Kim sheet so she can see it. Choose 4. Reliable source of clean, fresh water. Collection of tanks of water that are mostly used in the troughs for the animals. Well, you say that, but I mean, people are going to want water too.
Yeah.
Thoughtful NPC characters.
Main purpose, I guess I should say.
Thoughtful NPC characters too. I mean, when it comes right down to it, and people are like, well, let me see, we can have horses or we can have food and not die of lack of water. Okay, insight. So you get insight. Oh, I see. Okay, thoughtful NPC character. Gotcha. And you get tinkering. All right, so let me just grab that stuff so we have it as a reference here. Get all of this stuff done. Never have to mess with it again. It doesn't really matter what stat I put in there. So tinkering is fun. And, you know, if this doesn't thrill you, then you can do a different thing for your workplace. But this is what it does. When you go into your workplace to create something, repair something, solve a problem, or get to the bottom of something, tell the MC about it and ask if it's possible. The MC will tell you, sure, no problem, but, and then 1 to 4 of the following things. It's going to take hours, days, weeks, months of work. Hours / days / weeks / months of work. First, you'll have to get / make / fix / figure out X, whatever X happens to be. You're going to need X to help you with it. It's going to cost you a ton. The best you'll be able to do is not great. It'll be poor, slow, weak, or unreliable. It's going to mean exposing yourself or others to serious danger. Oh wait, there's some more. You're going to have to add X to your workspace first. It's going to take you several dozens / hundreds or take you several / dozens / hundreds of tries. You're going to have to take X apart to do it. The MC might, you know, then I might connect them all with and, or I might throw in a merciful or occasionally. So that kind of thing. So it might be like, so this tinkering comes to you through, which is it? Life support and med lab. So
the tinkering comes to me from, oh yeah, I guess it is, yeah.
So it's the med lab sort of medical supplies and stuff that brings you tinkering. So assuming the stuff is kind of themed that way, it might be like, I need some way to, it's you know, the Battlestar Galactica thing. I need some way to detect Cylons. I need some way to detect, you know, fairy creatures or some way, you know, Fey influenced something, or people with a glamour on them or something like that. Is that possible? Sure. It's going to take weeks. And you're going to need, say, Guthrie to help you with it because she's spooky and she probably knows, you know, she seems to understand the weird crap that goes on here. You're gonna have to add, let me see, you're gonna have to add X to your workspace. You're gonna have to take a Fey creature apart to do it. And I don't know, probably something else. Or that might be enough. I don't know. Any case, that gives you like the thing. The cool thing about it is it kind of lets you like it's a in a certain sense is kind of a magic wand in that like I want to be able to accomplish a thing, and this makes it really really like it puts being able to accomplish or learn a thing or to decide a thing about the world like entirely within your grasp.
Mm.
So that's that. And wasn't there was something else that it gave you? Oh, you get your insight. An insight. Oopsie, let me get that one. And I'll paste that one in here too. I'm randomly picking stats for these because these moves don't actually have a stat. There's no roll necessarily. When you go to your advisors for insight, ask them what they think your best course is, and the MC will tell you. If you pursue that course, take +1 to any rolls you make in the pursuit. If you pursue that course but you don't accomplish your end, you mark 1 toward improvement. So best case scenario, I guess, is you get what you were going after following their instruction. Worst case scenario, you don't get what you're after, but at least you learn something and you mark 1 towards improvement, which is pretty cool. Which is actually now that I look at that, is actually really cool because typically you've got to like mark 4 XP, so it's kind of like getting 4 XP. Like you get a whole tick towards an improvement, which is pretty cool, I think. And I'm going to close Kaiwei's, and I'm going to go back to Guthrie's, and I'm going to grab the augury text just so it's in your sheet, Kim. Just so you have it. If I can grab it, if it lets me, which it's being persnickety about. And I'll toss that in under other moves here real quick. This at least is actually a weird roll. So I can, when I say it's weird, it's actually a roll related to it. Okay. It's like the antenna takes the brunt of it. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. So you were saying that you're sort of like, your insightful person is the sort of the one who helps you take care of the animals and so forth?
Yes.
What are they like?
If you the idea that I'm rolling around in my head, if you ever go see a YouTube of old cowboy named Buck Brannaman, he's this old crusty guy who is just really great with animals. And
what's his last name?
Brannaman, I think.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Nnaman, Buck Brannaman. And he goes around and he does clinics. And he's this old cowboy, and he really, he doesn't really live for people. He lives for horses and animals. And so I remember one of my friends went to a clinic one time, and she had this crazy Tennessee Walker. And she had gone to the clinic. She hadn't brought the horse. She had just brought herself. She said, "Well, I have a question. I have this Tennessee Walker." And he said, "Well, that's her first fucking problem now, isn't it?" So he's kind of, I don't know, old crusty cowboy,
Yeah. Okay.
but kind of quiet, kind of watchful. Mostly people think he's working with the animals, but not, he's actually listening to everybody.
Cool. Like it. Sort by. Really. There we go. That gives us a starting point for Buck.
And I was thinking his name could be Buck just because that's kind of a fun name.
Sure. Like it. Easy. And
Yeah.
easier to remember too.
Yeah.
That's a good starting face anyway. It's a good face for surviving the apocalypse. Kim, do you remember? I got an email over to you also that you could kind of have your brain picker cake and eat your unalone cake as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Since you've got some advances that sort of point in that general direction and stuff like that. So Amanda, where is? So I'm looking back at the thing. Your sanctuary, garden of green growing plants, life support and med lab, reliable source of fresh clean water, thoughtful NPC character, stable and Hellmaster. Where do you think where do you want to be? I mean, what is your sanctuary? I feel like I should have gotten a Google Maps up here for New York. I haven't gotten necessarily a sense of how tightly packed in we are, like how close. I know Kate was talking. You're gonna have to remind me, Kate. Where is your little bolt hole? What is your bolt hole?
It's called the Campbell apartment.
The Campbell apartment, which is.
I send link. Hold on.
It sounds super cool to me. There's a very what it is. What Kate explained to me is there's a really fancy whiskey bar in sort of the southeast corner of
Southwest.
Is it southwest? Southwest.
It is southwest.
The southwest corner of Grand Central, kind of up on the second or third floor. And it's a whiskey bar now, but it was an actual apartment back in the 20s.
Well, technically, it was the office of one of the whatchamacallit, a director of the railroad in the 1920s. It was just always called an apartment, but it was a director of the board of the New York Central Railroad. And now it's this gorgeous bar.
And it's kind of one of the favorite things I like about the about Grand Central is the great windows that look out to the south out of the terminal. Have these 4 walkways across.
East and west.
Is that east and west, really?
East and west.
Huh. All right. Well, the big windows and the walkways that go across the window. They didn't want the walkways to obscure the light coming in, and they didn't have the capacity to do like plastics, right, or strong enough glass. So they quarried, and all the walkways are filled in with like quartz all the way across. So it's like clear quartz, so the light shines right through the walkways and stuff. And you'll see people occasionally walk across because they're going for it. And one end of those should tail out into the Campbell apartment. So we've got. I really need to get a map up here because I'm the worst. And this will work. So let me just. Gonna let me drag it over? Better let me drag it over. I need to get this up as a separate thing, but yeah, that'll work. So we've got Kate kind of in the corner of that building. I think, and if you guys just click and hold anywhere on this map, it should ping. I feel like, Kim, your thing was like here-ish.
I'm getting to your. I'm not in the right place.
It's over in. It's over in I'm sorry, Roll20, the map, or is that not what you're talking about? It's over in Roll20.
Yep, I'm in Roll20.
So if you
I'm just not seeing anything. I'm in the chat part, so.
So in the map part, not in
no chat.
Right.
Not the documents, but the just general chat. I don't see anything in there. So it's a gray field in Roll20.
Are you in Ironwall?
Yep.
So when you're looking at the great big window to the left of the chat, there's nothing in there?
Nope, it's just gray with our 4 icons at the bottom.
Weird, because I have the picture and the map and everything.
Let me reload to a different screen.
Well, I saw it reload, and now I still have nothing. And everything on the sideboard is fine. And the documents come up fine.
That's weird. That seems to me like, I feel like something's getting blocked. Oh, technical difficulties. Why must you be? Huh. Well, that's annoying.
I can close out of it and come back in.
Yeah, I think maybe that might be the best idea, just to get just to see if it helps, if nothing else. Close the tab and come back into it. I mean, yeah, and Amanda, you had pinged the Clinton Park, which I know is where the original like the riding park and stables and so forth were at.
Yeah, that's just one of the places that I thought it was.
That might be farther away than we want to be.
Oh, now I see it. There it is.
Isn't that clever?
Well, I mean, I can do like Bryant Park here. I mean, it's going to be, a green area so that I can have some, like it's going to be a little bit of space.
Right.
I mean, there's, it's 7 horses. I mean, that are going to live there. If I'm going to be able to trade off of them, I'm going to need a herd.
Yeah. My reluctance of that with Bryant Park is that there's going to be some sort of central space where the people are actually growing their food and stuff. And that's not.
And you don't think that's Central Park?
No. Central Park ain't safe. That's not where people raise stuff. That's where people go to die. Unintentionally.
Unintentionally die. If they have a death wish.
So
I mean, there's Chelsea Park over here, but it's even further away,
Yeah. It's just trying to figure out and here's the thing, bottom line, your stable of horses might be like 6, because we're talking about a settlement of like 100 people. There aren't a ton.
Right. I was thinking 6 horses and 1 small pony that is trying to pull a lightweight cart.
Let me. I need to get.
That's why I said 7.
Kate, feel free to chime in if you have thoughts or suggestions on locations and stuff like that.
So the church is about, and how did you all ping there?
Well, you just click and hold.
Click and hold, okay. Like wherever. It's
there.
Right about where?
About where the purple is.
So that's not. I mean, that's about the same distance away in the opposite direction from where Grand Central is, and I kind of feel like let me draw a different shape here. Draw shape. Something, I don't know, kind of like that.
Okay, so Bryant Park would be reasonable.
Well, I'm thinking of Bryant Park's the central thing. The downside to Bryant Park, and it's going to be a downside, is that that's where like the dude who sort of calls the shots lives. He's got the library. And
sure.
that puts him kind of, which is fine because there's a couple different reasons why that would be, it really kind of makes sense almost for you because as we kind of established, you're the one who has been here, like you've always been here. You haven't been here for the whole length of the surviving settlement, but the whole time that you've been around, you've been part of this thing. And you were the only one who sort of answered that when we were talking about it. Like the other two were like, no, probably not. And you were. So if you're sort of close and central and stuff like that, you might have some.
I might not have all of Bryant Park. It wouldn't take, a humongous place. It would just take enough space for,
That's also the food supply for everybody. That's what I mean. You're not gonna have all. You're not gonna have all of Bryant Park, because that's where they, like.
Right. So my question still stands regarding, how if we're growing food and we're in post-apocalyptic land, how do you plow the field without a horse?
No, I'm not saying that. Well, people, originally, but that's fine. I'm just saying, from an ownership point of view, no one's going to point at Bryant Park and say, "Oh, all of this belongs to this one person."
Nah. That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, well, I'm mostly just trying to parse, because when you say like Bryant Park's probably mine, I'm like, but how do we mean mine? Because I want to make sure that we're.
How do we mean mine? That would be where I would be located and
I see. All right.
Have a stake in that location.
Sure. Okay.
Just like if you put me out at DeWitt Clinton Park, I'm not saying that's all my space, but I would have a sanctuary there and have the right to, both help out, to tend things, and also that would give me.
Sure.
That goes back into my scavenge. They support me out of appreciation for what I'm doing, and I'm able to live comfortably on a gratitude for what the services that I'm providing.
And honestly, I like you centrally located kind of for that reason.
It doesn't have to be my place
I know.
For that to be my sanctuary.
I'm not saying, and honestly, that I'm just trying to make sure that we, kind of understand.
Sure.
I want to have an idea of like what else going down. I mean, if it's like, no, I basically run this thing alongside this, this guy who's, sort of the lawgiver for the whole place. That's fine. It's just, need to know that.
Sure.
You may.
And honestly, if you want to make Buck the lawgiver, I don't care.
No.
That's different?
Yeah, because Buck's friendly, and this guy is not in anybody's friendly column, necessarily. He may be, but he's not automatically. And Buck's kind of Buck's your guy. I might put crosshairs on Buck, but I'm not going to put, I'm not going to have him, like, secretly plotting to stab you in the back.
Just because he's friendly to me doesn't mean he's friendly to anybody else.
Well, no, I don't intend him to be necessarily friendly to anybody else, but no, Buck's not Buck's not the lawgiver. Buck's got a job. He's your guy. He's your advisor.
Caretaker.
Yeah, he's your caretaker. I'm trying to zoom in here on what's the zip code in New York? 10010.
That's one of them, yes.
I did that one wrong. Oh boy, it's weird to watch Google Earth zoom in. I actually get vertigo watching Google Earth zoom in and zoom out. Like it kind of creeps me out a little bit. I'm just grabbing some, hang on a second, save this here. Bryant. Getting a picture of the park as she was, just for sort of a visual reference, and pulling that in. Hopefully one of these things I pull in here doesn't suddenly make Kim's screen go gray, but
we'll see.
This is, whoops, oh god, now I'm doing that again.
Oh.
So, yeah, right? The library's this guy.
Yep.
Nice sturdy roof. We like that. Well called, Kate. Is this that crazy radiator building?
No.
The black and gold, like, oh god, what was it called? Oh, it was like this weird. I'm gonna have to go and look now. Because I might let this thing stand just because it's cool. This thing? Is that the same building as this guy?
It may be, yeah.
It looks like it from this angle.
Yeah,
it sure
does.
Can you drop that picture down just a tiny bit into the window?
Which one?
The building.
Drop it down.
Yeah, because the top of it is cut off in my window. There you go. Oh yeah, that's the same building.
Sure looks like it. That
Spatially,
is the American Radiator Building. Oh, Bryant Park. Yeah, it even says it in the image that I saved. I'm gonna have to let that one stand just because it's creepy looking.
It's not creepy. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
It's like a little castle vertically.
I've totally got to have the lawgiver live in there, looking down over Bryant Park. Which of course means he's not living in the library, which of course means he doesn't see the point of books. We've learned things about him already. Okay, so the guy nominally in charge of this, or at least running this shindig, under much duress, all the sacrifices he makes, lives in this little thing. Maybe not in the upper floors. I'm not 100% sure that thing would stay intact. Certainly there's window losses and stuff there. who Well, this is a kind of a loaded question because maybe the answer is nobody, and that's sad. But who preserves the library contents? Or has the whole thing been given over to a communal living facility?
You don't think there's a killer ass warrior librarian in there? You're crazy.
I'm not saying there isn't a killer ass librarian lady in there. I'm just, I just want to know who it is.
Oh, there's definitely someone. Maybe a number of someones.
Yeah.
Like some holy order of the book.
So the idea here is that it's definitely in some way, shape, or form, like the knowledge within is being protected, preserved, certainly made use of. I mean, the animal husbandry section, or rather, well, actually all farming type stuff would certainly be of immense value. Really, any of the stuff that they were constantly longing for in Farnham's freehold would be hugely valuable. Also, the children's fairy tale section would be like research central. Lots of people really diving in there, trying to learn more about know the enemy type stuff. So that's a good. I'm looping back here to Amanda's excuse me. I mean, assume in the park here that all the trees are probably gone because they've been, as much as possible, it's been converted to farming. Certainly.
/ grazing.
Honestly, a lot of the stuff even over on this side, that's probably, a lot of the asphalt in a lot of places probably.
Yeah, anything that was a parking lot is not now.
Yeah.
Right.
Not that there's a ton of parking lots to work with, certainly.
Yeah, but those streets, they're not super necessary as well. Not at the widths that they are.
No, going out, like, it's probably spread out to, as far as you can get. And I'm just wondering if the actual sanctuary part of, let me get Kai's thing up here. Looking at your sanctuary stuff. Green growing plants, that's obvious. Tinkering or life support in Med Lab. Reliable source of clean fresh water. Actually, that shot of the American Radiator building, there's actually a couple of water towers, or do they really call them water towers? The things that
they are called water towers, yes.
They're kind of short towers, but there you can actually see in the Google, on like Google Earth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Like some right here.
Yeah, there's 8 of them on the buildings immediately around the Bryant Park. So as a rain sort of rain collection and water storage and stuff like that certainly makes sense. I'm wondering if, like, for your actual location of, say, the physical location of the sanctuary, if it's one of these other buildings, or if you've grabbed a corner of the library or something. I can't get this thing to turn. It doesn't want to turn for me. A lot of these buildings around here look like they wouldn't necessarily do that well in the long term. But maybe a corner of the library, like some ground level entrance to the library that's, not necessarily a library that
research room or whatever.
Yeah, or something, but something you can kind of access that's not through the main doors, and maybe that's your bit. Kim's church is, you said it was kind of in that slanted street?
So it's in your original map.
Yeah.
Which
hang on.
It is approximately here. And I'm looking
at Google Earth just to see if I can spot it, but
that slanted street is Broadway, if it's helpful to know.
You're so good. There's parking on a roof here.
It's probably a garage.
You crazy New Yorkers. Adorably crazy New Yorkers? I mean, I can see a couple of parks. They're not even really parks, but like the weird triangular space where the two streets come together that they put a bunch of trees up. I'm like, okay, that's a garden now. And then over here we've got Grand Central's what, 2 blocks away maybe from the library?
Yeah.
2, yeah.
Exactly.
And you're right on the corner. I'm looking at Google Earth and I keep trying to ping the Google Earth map, and that's not
wrong app.
I know, wrong screen entirely. All that kind of stuff. I'll hunt down the church, but I don't think, it's not much further away than.
Yeah, I'm getting close to it.
Yeah. It's really not much further away than where Kate is from. So that gives us a kind of a rough idea. And the reason I ask about stuff like this is I'm kind of looking at it in terms of how is the outer border of this protected? Is part of the reason that Saren, Kate's vigilant, kind of in Grand Central, is that kind of the outer corner of the space, and you're sort of, in the outer Barbican, are you kind of on the outside edge of the area that you try to hold, or is it? Hang on, my mouse just went wonky for a second. Are you guys more like? That's terrible. I'm a terrible person. Hang on. Is it? I don't know that 100 people really occupy this much space necessarily, but it could be a bigger swath. But that might be, I think, maybe kind of where your influence falls. But when you get down to where people are actually living, my impression would be that it's more, we're really kind of concentrated here, and even kind of within that ping space. So that if you talk about where Kim might be with Guthrie or Saren might be, that's kind of on the outside edges of the community as such, a little bit.
Yeah.
For reasons, different reasons, depending on the two of you. Because Saren's sort of coming and going, ranging about, patrolling, whatnot.
Reasons. I have reasons.
Reasons. And you've got Kaiwei really right there in the heart of the thing. And why wouldn't she be? She's been here, her whole life. This is built up her whole thing. Got Buck. Need an angry librarian.
You guys watch The Magicians?
I do.
Nope.
Kate
I just keep thinking of the librarian in it with the big cat eye glasses, and she's such a bitch. And I just, when you say angry librarian, I think of her.
she's too clean for this, but certainly
you would personality wise.
Yeah, you would
mean.
need to be profoundly ruthless for sure to really kind of make sure this Post-apocalyptic librarian. I don't have a good picture for her. I don't have a good picture in my head for her. But you're right. It's got to be more than one person.
It's a holy order.
Agreed.
Warrior nuns.
Xena, librarian princess.
Oh, that's terrifying. Of course, I do a search for post-apocalyptic librarian, and the first shot is Evie from The Mummy with all the stacks collapsed behind her from tipping everything over. Anyway, I will do more searching, see if we can't find a good couple of people, because we'll need a few. And there isn't a ton of pushback on it. It's not like people are coming here saying we need the paper to burn. They understand the value of the thing. But keeping track of who's got what, I mean, nobody's checking books out really. Come in to read kind of a thing. So that's interesting. We've got the library person. Oh, I at least need a name for her. Is it a her? The head one?
Yes.
Of course. Let me ask this question. Is her name a name, or is it a proper noun? Or is it is it a proper noun, or is it just a noun? Set a larger, like what's the naming aesthetic? If this were an AMC TV show, what's the naming aesthetic for most of our NPCs? Are they just grabbing names from the rusting signs around the city, and you know?
Well, it is only 50 years out, so
A lot can change in 50 years. But I mean, are they is it a mix of that kind of stuff and things like, I want to say Madison, but that's actually just a regular name, but like
well, why wouldn't it be Bryant?
The lions at the front of the library are, I think, fortitude and patience. I think it should be patience.
Oh, I like that.
Like, those are the two librarians, fortitude and patience.
Yeah, I like that.
Agreed.
I open question as to whether or not that's actually like their names, or they're given the names when they finally take on the senior roles, or it's their titles.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
Would you say yes and?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, fortitude and patience. I like that. I know what the default obvious answer is, but the guy who kind of, we've got a lot of these. So we've got the librarian. We've got certainly Kaiway with medical stuff. A lot of sway there in terms of keeping people healthy, keeping animals healthy, animals themselves. Providing a lot of that sort of muscle power for just the work that needs to be done to, keep the settlement going. Besides the obvious answer of I've got the dudes with the guns, what does need a name for this guy? Mr. Creeder. What is Creeder? Creeder? Yeah. what is it just I've got the guys with the guns that brings this that's got this guy in charge, or calling the shots, or is there something more to it than just that?
Just because you have the guns doesn't mean that people are going to stick around, especially in an area as big as that.
Sure. I mean, but the thing is, you guys aren't, okay, yes, absolutely, which is why I'm kind of raising the question, because maybe it's not as simple as that. But you guys aren't the only people on the island.
Right.
Forgetting the ones that, you know, want to kill you all. So there's other factions and stuff like that. Having the ability to actually defend yourself is probably a good thing. But given where you guys are located, it's not like you can really wall off every access point. It's not, I don't want to say it's not defensible. It's hard to defend in terms of, you know, you can't, there's not much in the way of, like, say, a walled settlement. Maybe if you were actually looking at the Bryant Park thing, you could, let me pull that one back out here for a second, if it'll let me. Probably won't let me. No, it's going to be absolutely persnickety about it. But, you know, maybe the four corners of the park kind of thing, where the big streets go by, you could put up like barricades and sort of protect that sort of that core area. But in terms of like protecting that whole green circle, it like walling off that whole, that's not going to happen. There's too many streets, there's too many weird buildings, all kinds of craziness. So keeping people polite, because there will be people coming in, assuming, and it feels like there's like some level of like interaction and with, you know, potentially other settlements, other groups on the island and stuff like that. Keeping those folks polite does kind of come down to weaponry and muscle, one way or the other. But is there something else? Is it a strong charisma? Is it or maybe it's just not that. Maybe it's just somehow he's managed to, you know.
He's got a stranglehold on a resource that is necessary and hard to come by. You know, when you talk about ammunition, I mean, gunpowder in general you need to have. And so perhaps he has a cache of the only gunpowder around.
Sure.
It also is one of the biggest, like, cleared spaces that is parkland south of Central Park.
Yeah. I mean, you've got some of that stuff. I mean, you've got Clinton Park, but that's really now very close to the water. And that water's, you know, brackish at best and probably really salty. So there's a potential there. Certainly the way that it's washed in, there's a good chance that that's probably not a great place to grow stuff. Too salty, you know, like whatever they call the land that gets that. Same things over here. We've got the grass. This one maybe, but again, you're really close to that water.
Brackish.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know. I knew that was the water. I couldn't remember if that was how they applied to, like, sort of, you know, because that salt water is going to get into the water table in that area.
It's going to seep into the land.
Yeah. So this is nice because it's away, right? It's away from that. doesn't get better in other places. So there's definitely some of that. Being able to, I mean, obviously, just
there's
being
Madison Square Park a few blocks south, like
yeah, but that's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 15 blocks south.
Oh, down by the garden there, yeah. Oh, maybe also here. And those are, this is a whole interesting kind of a Chelsea Park. Chelsea Park's maybe a question mark, but this one maybe isn't. It's kind of hard to say.
Madison Square Park would be cut off on this map, but it's at 23rd and where Broadway crosses 5th.
So kind
26th.
of here?
26th or 23rd.
So it's like right about here if the map continued? Maybe you're not down enough to see where I'm pinging, but
I'm just looking at Google Maps and kind of feeling my way around, never having been to New York.
Yeah, so I'm trying to I'm mostly just trying to get a sense of what this guy's got going on, whether he's, if it's, he's the guy with the bullets, he's the guy with he's the guy with the majority of the working guns. I know that we've got this vigilant, and she's one of the people who's protecting the thing and doing the thing, but at the same time, she's got a bow. I mean, she's also got a shotgun, but that's stashed away, right? So, the weapon of choice for Guthrie is knives. What did Kaiway, what did you end up doing?
With what?
With like your weapon, choice of weapon.
Oh, the crude handmade pistol.
So you're close to the center, and you're in there in the middle, and you've got sort of a handmade zip gun.
Yeah, I mean, I really want, I was thinking on between that and the big knife, just thinking that a big knife might be really utilitarian, but they're not very useful when you're like, I don't know,
outside of hand range.
Right.
Yeah. So it feels to me like maybe firearms are kind of rare. And if they're kind of rare, maybe it's because they've been sort of like policed up, and it's his gang of bully boys that have them.
Right. So maybe like I have one of the lower ones,
Yeah.
Like he affords that to me, you know.
Well, and guns only work well if there's ammunition.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you spend the ammunition, well, that's a finite resource.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Unless you have the means. And yeah, the reason I was asking is that's straightforward to me. I mean, he's got manpower, he's got the firearms, the means to make the firearms work like firearms. I didn't know if somebody was going to chime in. It's like, no, have you guys ever seen how the mayor controls things? And, if he's the deal maker who's made deals with like a bunch of people sort of under the table, above the table, that kind of thing, and has like kind of a weird atypical charisma, I just want to know. But it doesn't sound like that's really where we were going with that. It's more of it's more prosaic than that. It's more straightforward. He's got the stuff. So I'm gonna start on the outside edge and work my way in. Guthrie, what's a normal day for you look like? What do you on a given, like, because you've got the church and it's starting to feel like a kind of a safe haven. Do you have people that hang about there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a fair number of people who see it as a relatively safe place that is protected by the auspices of God.
Huh. And they
bad things don't get there.
Bad things don't
come inside.
And the assumption there is that this because it's still kind of a holy place. And you live there.
And I live there.
What is Guthrie then to these people?
She's probably viewed as like the live-in maid,
but not like the resident priest.
No. She's more like the caretaker, that she's just always around, but not everybody realizes that she actually lives there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the demographic split like? Is it mostly adults? Are there kids playing around? And you say it's safe, but I mean,
I imagine that there's a fair number of like little kids that end up hanging around when their parents are off foraging for food and trying to, working whatever it's taking. And Guthrie doesn't really look after them, but she makes sure that they don't wander off.
There's probably a couple of people that may do that. Are those like, who ends up sort of, are you the only person who sort of soon as sort of a caretaker or sort of daytime resident of the place? Or is there sort of like a small group of people and outsiders might sort of generally lump you in with those folks?
There's the people who are almost always there. There's a fair contingent of people who find it to be a safe place, that it's a comforting place, and they come, as often as their time allows. And so, sure, it might be viewed as, these are the usual suspects that live here, but they don't live there. And sure, from the outside, she could be lumped into, oh yeah, this is just a safe place during the day for them to hang out, and then they all go home at night, wherever home might be.
Sure. Does anybody else actually stay around there?
At night?
Yeah.
Probably not. It probably gets pretty spooky at night.
But during the day, so Bryant Park's pretty safe because you got people with guns and you got people who are protecting it. That's where people who are going to trade come in and that kind of thing. But this place, you're saying, people, I like that. People think of it as a place that's safe.
Until it gets dark.
Yeah. They think of it as a place that's, because it's demonstrably safe, or is it just the feeling that you get when you're there?
It's the feeling you get when you're there.
So people aren't, does it get verbalized, or is it just?
No, it doesn't get verbalized at all. It's more of just a real calm feeling.
But we'll put the kids down there. That we'll have we're gonna take the kids down to.
There's a place for them to hang out. There's a former daycare type of situation, right, like almost every church has.
The most that anybody gets around to verbalizing is like, send the kids down to the church. The church is safe. And everyone kind of nods and agrees with that. Nobody really processes like why.
Right.
Or that you don't stick around at night. Are both of these sort of, I want to say, intentional effects? Go away at night and it's safe during the day?
It's definitely a, go to your own safe places at night, but this is where you can be during the day. It's safe here during the day. And that's an intentional weirdness that Guthrie is pumping out.
You've been seen to be kind of puttering around and sort of taking. Are you always around, or do you wander up into the center area?
I've been seen outside of the church, occasionally during the day, but not very often.
Okay, but as far as like the sort of more densely populated portions of the settlement,
I'll show up to find food, to barter for food, to exchange services for, the necessary. But other than that, she might be looking to trade books, but not super often.
And that's a tough sell anyway. You could get into. So
She has some things from before that, right, when things get tough, she might pull one of those items out
to trade for
whatever is necessary.
I see.
If it's a stockpile of food, if it's a 50-gallon barrel of water.
Okay. Wait, that's the thing you're trading with or the thing you're trading for?
I said that's what I'm trading for.
I see. Okay. Sorry, I need somebody incongruously nice looking for Creator. How does that work? He look harmless? He looks like he should be running a commune. Leading a philosophical discussion. So you go in and about, but not so very much there. So you're seen puttering around. What are you really doing?
So what am I really doing?
Yeah. With your putting around during the day.
I'm making sure that things that shouldn't be in the church aren't in the church, that they haven't found me in any way, shape, or form.
So it's really about
they don't get to come here.
So yeah, and that's been the knock-on effect of that is people are like, oh, this place is particularly safe feeling because you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, the fact that the people are going to be down here is just, you know,
that's just an after effect.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know how much people move around at night.
You've got patrol. You've got the guards
from Bryant Park.
Yeah, roof of the library probably, and up on the lower terraces of the governor's tower.
Okay.
You've got the patrol folks that are kind of an all hours situation, but that's not necessarily local, and they don't really. I'm going to talk to Kate about that here in a second, actually, but I don't think that there's a lot of overlap in the space occupied by the sort of settlement guards and the patrols that range further afield to keep an eye on things.
Okay, and so another question: what kind of normal travel? I mean, how far in general do people move around in the area?
You mean the people that are from here, or
that are living here? I mean, how far afield do they go on a general basis?
It depends on sort of what their role is, and so like I said, it depends somewhat on what their role is. So if you take someone like our vigilant.
Yes.
If you're going to go, let's say you're going to go on a roam and you're going to be gone for, if you're going to be gone for more than 3 or 4 hours, you know, which is barely a gone at all kind of a thing. How long are you sort of away at a stretch when you're sort of patrolling the border? Is it more like, you know, a half a day?
No, I mean, I think I can be gone for days. I think I've got like little bolt holes.
Sure.
Throughout the city.
So, a couple questions that I want to then, because I'm absolutely down with that. You know, 2-3 days, whatever. That'd be almost typical. How far are you more protecting the border or taking in the state of the city?
More taking in the state of the city. Like, you know, I probably got a spot that overlooks Central Park. I want to keep an eye on what I can see in there. Like, I'm probably, you know, going downtown and seeing what's coming up Wall Street, coming up the water there. You know, like I've probably got a few little spots, but I don't feel that I'm not patrolling the border.
Right. You're not the border guard. You're recon.
Yes. I'm Strider.
Is it okay. So I'm fine with any of these answers. I just want so we've talked about like the high rises are probably not super stable, but is this the kind of thing where like we'll see these establishing shots of you scaling the outside of like this, increasingly skeletal like skyscraper to get up 30 or 40 stories so you can see out? Just the outside, the outside of the thing, or
I don't think in a lot of cases you have to go up that high.
Right.
Like considering where I'm looking, like there might be, some of these buildings maybe have, in the 50 years, we figured out they're still standing because they had, weird architects who designed buildings for, earthquake proofing because they copied floor plans from San Francisco.
Sure.
And they just plopped them in New York. So maybe there's a giant weird tower, on the southwest corner of Central Park. I mean, the Time Warner Center, I don't know, it might be standing, or like half of it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering, if it's like this weird like skeletal but still sturdy for what's left of it kind of thing. Is that are you just, kind of getting up high enough to be able to see out over stuff? Are you climbing up the side of these? I'm not saying you're Spider-Man climbing up, but like a lot of these, especially the glass ones, you've got basically a gigantic, scaffold to climb up.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's much more like sort of, my picturing it is much more interior.
So creeping up through the interior of it. Cool. Okay.
Creeping up through the interiors. Yeah. Because partly maybe I'm also doing that to scavenge and sort of see if there's anything useful left behind.
Sure. Okay.
You're not going to do that if you're climbing along the outside of a glass.
Yeah. Right. Well, the glass is in a lot of these big ones anyway are going to be largely gone, kind of a deal, but that's fine. Do you go into Central Park at all?
Maybe.
Okay. I'm absolutely fine with yes questions, no questions. Do you cross the rivers?
I know somebody who's done it.
Okay.
I know somebody who might be able to take me.
Yes.
At most, I've gone across to Roosevelt Island, but I haven't made it to Jersey or Queens.
That would be this ping here. So active, I'm going to put these guys, I'm just going to throw these out here. You've got some mucky waters kind of here that are still kind of useful. There's you guys will actually kind of, they'll be, so you talk about people that go out and do stuff. So you get like groups of like 5 to 10 that will head out here to like these mucky waters and do fishing for like catfish, or there's a lot of sort of well, maybe not catfish because it'd be kind of salty, but in any case, but stuff here, there's like some big fat sort of bottom feeders here that are quite edible.
Carp. So, carp are fantastic and fresh.
Haddock.
Salt.
And there's I can't remember the name of that other fish that used to be really common in either one of these rivers. You've got, so let's throw another faction out here. We've got like barge people on this side, out over this side, and they'll do trading and stuff come a day here and there. People don't call it Queens very much anymore out past here. They call it the Burn Flats, for reasons that will become evident looking out over it. You said you haven't really been over like all the way across to like Jersey or Queens necessarily, because
Right.
I did ping that right. This would be Queens over here, yonder, correct? In this
I mean, I'm not really seeing it on the map. Hold on, wait. Oh, I gotta move my little thing.
Like past
Like
past Roosevelt
past
Island.
Roosevelt Island.
That would be Queens. I did get that right.
Yes.
Not completely useless. Okay, good to know. We got the salt waste over this direction. Obviously past on the other side of the Hudson. Salt flats out that way. There's a weird sort of culty encampment slash settlement southwest. They're like the servants of the lady, and they're all it's all kind of clustered around the obvious, you know, the Statue of Liberty kind of thing. So you've got like a weird kind of group out there. Good reason not to be out there. So you say you know somebody who gets them across. I'm throwing out the barge people as like folks that you could make a deal with or have, you know, some level of traction with in terms of like if you did need to get across the river, you could probably contact them and
sure.
get away across there. How far north? Like all the way?
I once made it up to Fort Tryon Park.
Give me a street number because I don't know where that is.
Way in the 200s.
Okay, so up past like the largely invisible river that separates Harlem from the rest of the island.
No, it's still
or is it
on Manhattan.
Oh, it's still on Manhattan, but we're not quite up past that. Okay, okay, all right. But that's so way up though. 200s are
way up.
Okay. You say once, like is it people that's the risk?
Well, I mean, the easiest way would be cutting through Central Park, but you're not going to do that.
No.
And Fort Tryon Park is also very wild.
Okay.
So it was kind of a reconnoiter to see if the ferries are only in Central Park or if they've also taken over the cloisters in Fort Tryon.
So really having...
Also, it's a place called Fort. I wanted to see what was going on at the fort.
What was going on? So first of all, this is just me asking. Is there a fort there in the park, or the
Fort Tryon Park? I mean, it was a fort. It was a Revolutionary fort, to my knowledge and recollection. The Cloisters is an outpost of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's where the unicorn tapestries are.
Sure. Okay.
And the park around there is, modeled after European gardens. There's like a labyrinth and everything. I think there's probably a small, slightly crazy inbred settlement up there of humans.
If it's kind of a wild park, so I'm down with that. I'm going to give you something else to kind of vote for in your head. There's that slightly crazy group of inbred humans. Don't cast stones in a glass house. Although that's less a problem here because you guys do a bit more trade. Or where the fort ruin or remnants were, it's like a fairy castle. Like it's a legit outpost of the Fae right here in River City.
Yeah, so you know what? I think that's probably even better because I bet you there was a portal or something up there.
You know those tapestries? They came through those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty right.
So I'm thinking like mother of pearl and crystal and glass kind of thing. This fanciful, weird, crazy folly almost in amidst something that's a bit somewhere between a badly overgrown botanical garden and the sea of thorns from like Sleeping Beauty, from like the
Yeah, that
animation.
makes sense.
Like it's just like it's almost ridiculous. Like, you know, these thorn stalks that are like the size around of an oak tree. Like this isn't even possible. But part of the whole thing is, you know, like you say, it's just been 50 years, but things have accelerated. Things that the world has changed much faster than it should have. The decay, the growth, the supplanting or other removal of, you know, signs of humanity kind of stuff. Uh, Much stronger, much faster and more aggressive than you expect. Okay, cool. I like that. And kind of, yeah, you. So there's some problems, you know, challenges here. It's like, you know, you got this group, people might come here, but you coming over the water's got its own challenges. Coming down this way on either side, you know, it seems like it'd be fine, except, you know, that's a skinnier part of the, you know, it suddenly park, because the park has expanded. It's grown down the streets, you know, and out, you know, blocks in any direction, like little crawling fingers out into the streets and stuff like that. So you get people coming from other, you know, parts of the island coming down. They've got to really hug the water, or they don't, whether they have to or not, they do. Central Park doesn't have any of that great, like the surprise there when you went to the found the fort, which is just what it is in your head. Did you tell anybody back in the settlement what you found when you went up there? Does anybody know about that, or is it just something that you've, or I say anybody, do the civilians know? Or
I think people talk about it. Like there's the rumors of, you know, the castle or the throne or something.
Sure, because, you know, rumors travel around. Other people have, you know, actually come from far enough north that you get up on a high building, you could look and see that there's some sort of glowing weird thing. When you came back, having seen it with your own eyes, was it, I told nobody, I told just the other patrollers like me so they knew what to expect? Or, you know, I confirmed the rumors, whether or not people actually believed me, but I, you know, I've seen it and it's just as bad as anybody.
I think I probably like can talk to the other rangers.
It's easy enough to just call them that, yeah.
And I probably made Creeder sit down and hear about it. Somebody may have also overheard that conversation and used it to confirm.
Oh, he's always got somebody with him. And he has always got at least a couple of dudes with him. No matter what. And it's, you know, weird a little bit. I'm pulling in pictures right now, but we'll see. They're going to come in really big. All right. Got this dude, and we'll get in one more. These are probably the two that are always kind of around. Him, specifically. Wait for it to load so I can actually make it the right. Ah, so big. He's a charmer.
Obviously.
Oh yeah. Neither one of these guys much for talking. This guy a little bit more than the other, but this guy's like monosyllabic at best. Made Krieger sit down. Be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Okay. what's the relationship? This is what I was going to ask you about. What do you think the relationship is between the Rangers and like Creeder's guards? Is it? I mean, is it just like, you stay out there, do your thing, but you have no authority aside from, the advisory, within, sort of the area of the compound?
Oh yeah.
Is the rivalry thing?
Rangers have no authority in Creeder's little kingdom. He maybe listens to us, but he doesn't, doesn't have to.
He doesn't.
He doesn't like to.
I think he probably doesn't do it at all in public. And it's kind of one of those things where it doesn't really even seem like he does when you're actually having a conversation with him. But then, like the next day, the decision comes out, and it was clearly based on, this information. So like how often do you think you probably like meet with him just to let him know what's going on?
It's not regular.
Not regular. Okay.
Nope.
But in those kinds of situations, it's probably like the way he plays it is he's humoring you. Like, oh, they think they've got some intel. Fine, bring them in.
Sure.
That kind of a thing. All right. Okay. I just looking at this guy till it's like smiling little guy except for the dead eyes. Anyway, patience and what was the other one?
Fortitude.
Fortitude. I kept wanting to make it justice or something. I did just patience and fortitude. Amanda, so we have you kind of tucked into like the corner, at least of the library building.
Okay.
What's the relationship? Backing up. Who's your favorite, patience or fortitude?
Fortitude.
Fortitude. Are they both she's? Is it a he and a her?
Like we said, it's the title and the name.
Right, but I'm just wondering if fortitude is a guy, or a girl, or
how would y'all feel about having fortitude be a guy? I know we kind of talked about the librarians being women. And put question mark.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I like it. I like it either way. I'm curious, like compare and contrast. Are they close to the same age? Is one much younger? Like
So my first thought on that is that they're Sith Lords.
Oh, so like there's always one that's a little bit, well, they tend to be
the master and the student.
Master and the student, or at least that's the way it's been largely. It makes good sense. So is fortitude then the older one or the younger one? I kind of like him being like the sort of the soft-spoken apprentice.
Yeah.
Guy to. Oh man, I want to. I feel like I've got to. Oh my God! Wait. Oh my God! I think I've got a picture for. The next question being, did I actually file it correctly? Really? Can't find it. No, that's not right. Somebody's having carrots.
M&Ms, but yeah. Sorry. I'll turn it back off.
That's all right. It's all right. I cannot find. There's a picture of Helen Mirren that I'm thinking of for patients, and I can't for the life of me find it right now. And which is ironic, honestly, because I've probably got that same image saved like 6 different places. But there's one where she's got like this sort of like, almost a tunic thing on. Looks like it's made out of like repurposed burlap, and like a sort of a rawhide necklace thing on it and stuff, and I think it would just be perfect. Are we? How are we for Helen Mirren as Helen Mirren playing the librarian Patience?
Sure.
Just to give us somebody to really, get behind. Okay, so and then we've got our younger sort of apprentice-ish Fortitude, which I like also. I think that's kind of fun.
Joyce, are you thinking of the one with Helen Mirren with the tattoo?
Maybe. I can't remember. I'm gonna. Oh, this one. Or very close to this one. I'm gonna paste this into the Roll20 chat here in a second. If I can get the image up. That's terrible. Oh, Pinterest, you are my art. Oh God, you're just the reason I hate people.
The true reason you hate people?
Well, I don't know if it's true, but certainly it's up there. It's actually just a good example of.
Here's an image on this blog of the one.
Helen Mirren made me do it. That's a pretty good blog post title right there. Yeah, that's it. That's the picture.
Yeah, I thought as much.
Patience the librarian. She looks like she's in a post-apocalyptic reality. Saving that to use for something like this forever, probably. And now I can't find the image the one time I want it. Oh my God. Amanda, Patience, and Buck absolutely hate each other, are secretly hooking up constantly.
They're banging in the stacks.
Absolutely hate each other, constantly hooking up, or both?
Yes, both.
They're totally banging in the stacks.
Hate Hate sex. Love it.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay. So, because I want to actually have a thing happen, we're just gonna start this up to kind of get things going here, or give you guys something to chew over. Let me. Oh my God, why is it being so difficult? RPG. This is thing. There we go. Okay. We've got. Here we go. So. One of the rangers comes to you, Saren, in your. Well, I shouldn't say that, but let's say you're actually, let's put you up on the walkways and kind of looking out through that. I think probably some of that glass is gone, or at least maybe the outer layer of the glass is gone or something like that. But in any case, you know, kind of up on the walkways, kind of looking east, so we can see any distance that direction. And one of the rangers kind of hurries up to you. It's not this person.
Sorry, can I just pause you for a second?
Sure.
Like, are we playing now, or are we still setting stuff up? Because I don't have the brain power to start playing at 10:30.
We're not playing. I'm setting up a thing for you to think about for the next time, so we can kind of
look into this. Sorry, go on.
Good? All right. So, and I'm kind of given this. I want to give this frame up to you guys, sort of 3 different ways. This person, I'm going to say their name is. A little bit too on the nose, that one. January. Okay. One of your rangers is in trouble. Has gotten into trouble. Somebody's mic'd up, and I'm hearing myself talk while I'm talking.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just I can't remember what I meant to say when I'm hearing myself talk, or something. I'm terrible at it. So January's in trouble. She's in trouble back at Bryant Park with the guard and with Creeder. And they're not backing down off of it. Okay. And I'm just going to leave that with that. I'm going to kind of leave that with just that information for you to chew over. But they've had some sort of run-in between January's had some kind of run-in with the guards there, and it's getting nobody's backing down, and it's getting ugly, and they enough so that one of the other rangers came running to you. Guthrie, your awareness of this comes from like sort of that sort of the awareness of the herd around you kind of thing, because a couple people kind of come in and are whispering to each other, and it sort of stirs up unease and tension and worry amongst the folks that are still that are there. The adults are that are around are sort of murmuring and whispering to themselves and looking, at each other and looking back, sort of towards the park, or kind of looking in the general direction. You can't see the park obviously from where you are, but are sort of looking uneasily in that direction. There's the kids don't really notice it consciously, but they get rowdier and louder and are playing rougher. Like they're picking up on that energy, and so the acting out is getting a little bit more. The disruption of it, the tension of it. A couple of them are coming over and sort of yanking on sleeves and shirt tails and stuff like that, and kind of demanding attention, which they're not getting. A couple of folks head back sort of towards the settlement, and a few of the kids will try to follow. They're like, no, you stay here. I don't want you going back. You stay here until I come get you. Kind of thing. Definitely some tension there. The word that you pick up out of the murmuring and stuff like that without really doing anything intentional about it, which you certainly can do when we get back together, is exile. It's a pretty scary word in this context. Amanda, you're kind of, without anybody specifically sort of in your face about a problem at any given moment, what are you typically spending your time doing? I mean, middle of the day, call it mid-afternoon. What's your daily cycle got you doing at that point in time?
Well, middle of the day, I guess I'd say that doesn't sound very specific, but anyone who's ever been around a barn or whatnot, doing what needs to be done, maybe fixing a few things, putting together feed for the evening.
Okay. All right. The interruption for you isn't a specific person or anything like that. It's the shouting of a crowd. Now, a crowd doesn't mean a lot when you're talking about a relatively small group of people, but it is probably 15, 20. I don't want to say shouting, but there's a lot of murmuring and loud talking and stuff sort of around a group of about, if you come out to look out, you've got about 10 guards or so that have got someone they're sort of like frog stepping them up to the front of the governor's tower kind of thing. So they're taking them through the main park area, bringing them in from like one of the sort of areas that they're the edges of the park, bringing them across the park, and you've got like a group of, like I say, 6 to 10 guards, and one person in the center, and the other people that are like working the field, or following along to see what's going on or anything like that. That's where the noise tends to come from. The guards themselves are weirdly quiet. As they come up to the front steps of the tower and are sort of waiting there, and there are people around. There's a slow gathering of folks, none of them getting too close to the guards, but a slow gathering of folks in this main area where they have this woman, one of the patrol rangers, you think, again, that picture up there on the screen, who's kind of like one of them, they'd like to get her like forced to where she's like down on her knees or something like that, but she keeps not letting them. But they're still kind of got her half shoved over. Hands are kind of bound up behind her back, and they keep trying to shove down on her neck and stuff, but she keeps kind of like shoving them off. And they're kind of, the guards seem to be kind of waiting for somebody to come out. And meanwhile, the crowd is slowly accumulating up to 10s, 20s, 30 some odd. I mean, nobody's really doing any work in the fields or anything like that. So you've got this, and you're probably, I don't know, 40, 50 yards away, because that building's sort of down the park. Probably more than that, I guess. I don't, you gotta look at the length of the park, but it's probably like halfway down the park. You can see this crowd kind of forming. And we're going to kind of leave that there with the people who are sort of creeping away from Guthrie's church, whispering something about trouble and exile. The word that came to Saren and Grand Central a couple blocks away, and you're seeing this crowd forming and stuff as they wait for some authority to come out and address these guards that have brought these guys, that have brought this person in. And we're going to, that is where we will begin things next time. We have the world now that we have the world kind of sorted out. Guys, I thank you for your patience on that. I'm sorry there was a lot of like sort of answering questions about stuff, but I think there's a lot of good stuff going on there. Thoughts, questions, any other stuff?
No.
No? And where are you all out with all these things and it getting late?
How are we for next week?
I'm good, I think.
Next week is the 1st?
Yes.
I may be late. Little bit. I'm supposed to judge health sciences fair in the evening, and so I may be a little bit late, but I'll just come home and get on and pick up.
That's funny. It's only funny because of a show I watched that's kind of set in a school kind of a thing, and the idea of the fair, and it's a a really long story, but it's like, I am going to be judged by the finest minds, my scientific prowess, and it's like the gym coach comes out. It's like, okay, show me your soda fountain volcanoes and stuff, or whatever this thing is supposed to be. Kind of, he's very disappointed. Not to say that you're that person, but it's just kind of, that the idea of the teachers being the idea of the teachers being shanghaied into the being, I guess, drafted into the fair judging and that sort of thing is kind of fun.
It's a little different in high school though, because the culinary department feeds you, so it ends up being pretty okay, actually.
Yay.
And we have a pretty dang good culinary department, so
very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Chef is pretty good.
So, all right. So I'm hopefully you guys are quite happy with this. There's a lot of neat stuff happening here. There's a lot of stuff I want to find out about, but we will begin with that kind of stuff. We'll start, no, I'm not about to make people think this late in the game about any of that kind of stuff, because it's just too much. This also lets me kind of, now that I've got...
Well, and also I have to leave in 7 minutes.
Right. So I'm mostly just trying to get a good sense of like all this kind of stuff, so I can kind of figure out where the threats are at. And I had to get a sense of sort of the power centers. Who's in charge of what, who's button heads against who's likely to get shot right away, so on and so forth. Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
That's all I have.
Sounds good.
All right. Good night, guys. Or good night. Drive safe.
Good night.
For those of you who are about to start driving. And
yes.
Sounds like Friday is good for next week, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sweet.
Ciao.